Good morning and welcome back to Coffee Break. So, one of the things that people keep saying about one of our new books is that it makes them nostalgic, which is kind of funny given that it's a new book.
Yeah, this one is brand new actually, the dog that didn't have. But I see where they're coming from though, because like the artwork kind of has that nice retro feel to it. Yeah. Well, and it's all about this boy who has an imaginary dog because he just doesn't have a real one. And I think, that kind of takes us back to the time when you had an imaginary friend or pet or something, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and
makes you reminisce about the good old days.
Yeah, definitely. I think books often evoke nostalgia because so often you have good feelings when you think about books.
Unless it's a book you hate.
Yes.
And then you're
that's rarer
the
than books
Scarlet Letter.
But I think especially picture books because even if they're new picture books, they remind you of when you used to read picture books, and then like especially maybe old picture books because you read that specific picture book.
Yeah, well, and I think books like, not only do you get nostalgic, like thinking about the story and everything, but you also remember like how old you were and when you read it and what was going on and like maybe who you read it with if it's a picture book or something, So there's all these memories attached to the actual act of reading a book, and I think that's kind of what makes us nostalgic for them.
Yeah. So since we love nostalgia, we thought we would share some of the books that make us feel nostalgic.
Trip down memory lane.
I'm not going to talk about all of these, but like I was just raiding through some of the picture books that my mom has given me that like these are the actual copies that she read to us. And
nice.
So
Boris and the Monsters, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, have you not heard of this one?
I don't think so.
So that one, like, I think this is also very indicative of the era when it was written. Like, the art and even just the font that they use.
Yeah.
It's like, that's old picture book.
Yeah, it is. This is awesome.
It looks a lot like Alexander in the No Good...
The Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Which is also a book that makes me nostalgic, but I don't have a copy of it. As I've mentioned before, Thunder Cake. It's a book that makes me nostalgic. I think my parents... especially introduced this to us because it takes place in Michigan and the author is from Michigan, so that's extra fun. Plus, baking cake.
I mean, so the first picture book that I think I ever really truly fell in love with was called Rosies Walk by Pat Hutchins. I printed out the little cover of it. So you can tell by the artwork, it's like a very like 70s old school kind of feel to it. But it's actually like, this is a really cool example of a picture book because you've got this chicken named Rosie and like the text is just, all of the text does is narrate what Rosie does. So it's like, Rosie went out for a walk, she went across the yard and over the pond and everything. And there's no mention of the fox that's following her. It's all just in the illustrations. But it's hilarious because he's got like Wile E. Coyote luck. Like you can probably tell he's going to land on this rake and like hit his head. And then, he falls into the pond and like gets stuck in a haystack and like all of these terrible things happen to this fox. And the chicken's just completely oblivious. She's just like, whatever. I'm just going for a walk, like, doing what I do. And yeah, I just remember like, sitting like, cuddled up next to Mom and she would make all these cool sound effects with them. And I was stunned when I actually went back and read this later that there weren't sound effects with the book. I was like, wow, that's just something Mom did.
That's sort of like the Princess Bride experience.
Yeah, it is like the Princess Bride experience.
Except yours is real.
Yeah.
So I try not to talk about this all the time.
Right, of course.
But I think everyone knows that I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd.
I mean, I just texted you about Harry Potter like yesterday, so yeah. I mean, I'm not going to judge you for that.
But weirdly, so this is the 6th one. I don't know if you can tell from there.
I know it. I know all the British covers. Casual. It's really casual.
But
so why the 6th one? Because this is one of the later ones. This isn't like one of the childhood ones.
But when they have Christmas in this book, it feels nostalgic. And I was actually talking to you about like, why is this? Because they never actually have Christmas at the Burrow until the 6th book.
Yeah.
But I think it's just that like they hadn't been at the Burrow in a while because of Grimmauld Place, and like Fred and George aren't at school with them, and then they're back for Christmas. And I think it just also reminded me of just like being home, like everyone coming home to one house for Christmas.
See, you have the Weasley kind of family. I have like the Hermione Granger family where it's like me and my two, boring normal parents, and that's it.
But you also don't ditch your parents to hang out with the Weasleys on the holidays.
That's true. I always felt bad. Like, we've got this nice ski trip planned. Okay, bye. I mean, this is me repeating myself too, obviously, because Anne of Green Gables, obviously, my quote board that hangs out in my office all the time.
Are any of those quotes specifically nostalgic for you?
I mean, they all kind of are. Like, just reading Anne of Green Gables, because I read it right at that perfect age. I was like 9 or 10, and she's 11 when the books start and everything. And like, Anne Shirley is just like so plucky and optimistic and, like really emotional, but also really caring and everything. And I could identify with her. I was like, this is like the first character in a book that I found that really reminds me of myself.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and she's just got this great, like, childhood innocence about her, especially in the first one. And so, it's nice to, like, go back and think, like, oh, yeah, this is kind of like what I was like as a kid and everything, and you get to revisit sort of your past self almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That book is always just going to give me, like, nice, warm fuzzies when I read it. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like nostalgic books are just, like, putting a warm fuzzy blanket on.
Yeah, it's better than like reminiscing about like old times that you had with family and friends, because then you get like wistful and sad because it's like, oh, those days are over, never gonna have those again. But like
I can reread this book all I want.
Exactly. Books are never going to get old and leave you.
So we'd love to hear what books make you nostalgic. Are they maybe new books that remind you of something that happened in the past?
Or old childhood favorites that you've carried on with you into the present? Yeah, let us know in the comments. We would love to hear what books carry a special place inside your heart.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. I feel a little bit sad every year that I can't have a petrified gnome stuffed in an angel costume on top of my tree. We don't have room for like all 5 copies.
3 copies. 4?